Okay, I just went to the library in the hopes that I could find A Song of Ice and Fire, the book. Nope, couldn't find it. I just went to the library for nothing. Hey guys, what's up? It's the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite albums, and today I'm gonna be doing a mini albums review where I review albums very quickly. So, I've done a couple of mini album review videos where I talk about albums being released in 2016, the really good albums, also the really bad albums, except if they are too good or too bad, I will do a separate standalone album review for them. And so yes, I'll be moving backwards because by the end of this year I'll be dropping a decade list week. So I have to start reviewing albums from all the years through the 2010s, and it's gonna be 2015 here. So I didn't have time to do many album reviews because you know that I have a really tight review schedule and I have the exams. So I originally wanted to talk about Joanna Newsom, Divers, and also that Gold Link album, but I don't have time, so I guess I'll postpone it. Also, kind of want to talk about that Prurient album. I'm just going to talk about Frozen Niagara Falls really quickly here before I actually start talking about the 5 albums. It's a really dark, drony, ambient album that really messes with your brain a lot. And I really love the texture and the flavors of these sounds. As sour, tense, and unpleasant as they are, they really do construct an atmosphere really, really well. So yeah, it's one of the better ambient albums I've heard this decade. But jumping back here, I want to talk about the Travis Scott album Rodeo, because it might be my favorite trap rap album of the decade, which actually means that it might be my favorite trap rap album ever, because, you know, trap rap, it's the 2010s, come on. So Travis Scott is a rapper from the South. I think it's Houston, Texas, oh boy. And Rodeo is an album, and it's after days before Rodeo, because it happened before Rodeo. So he actually had production credits on Kanye West's Yeezus, which is pretty surprising. So he's got some talents. However, all the previous projects before Rodeo is kind of boring. So going into this album, I didn't know what to expect. But of course, this album, it's fantastic. I think it's great. I think it's so futuristic and dreamy. I love the production, and let's just talk about it. The album starts off with Pornography, and it's just an okay opener. The chords of the track is a little weird and trippy. I do like the wavy vibe of the track, but I think it's a little too drowned in auto-tune. And the intro is like a skit, being trying to be epic and all, and I don't know, it's just, it doesn't click for me all that well. Then the other tracks on the album, like Oh My This Side featuring Quavo, fantastic track. The instrumentals are actually pretty dark, gloomy, and foreboding. They kind of actually remind me of 21 Savage's Bank Account, except 21 Savage released Bank Account after Rodeo, so you know where that idea came from. The singing is actually pretty good, despite being heavily auto-tuned, and Quavo's feature is also pretty good as well. The second half is literally a reiteration of Future's Rich Sex, except it's even more expressive, pretty, and tasteful, and tuneful, and overall the track is very eerie and cavernous, and I love it. The track 3500 is 7.5 minutes long, but it's still really catchy, fun, and exciting. The chorus is actually really bright and energetic, and kind of power pop-esque, and really catchy. The verses, they are not as punchy, but I still love the performances from all the features, and the beat is also pretty trippy and psychedelic. The next track, Wasted, features Juicy J, and Juicy J is fantastic. And I love the instrumentals being really grimy and sinister and also slow. It's also a pretty gritty track, but at the same time also really spacey and psychedelic and dreamy. Two worlds colliding into one really three-dimensional flavor. Also, I love the woodwinds being used in the track. Really tasteful. The next track is 90210, and boy, it's my favorite Travis Scott song. Again, the beat switches in this album, they're fantastic actually. And for the first half of 90210, it's super grand. It's super beautiful. We get some really deep, epic electric guitars and some spacey drums and vocals from Casey Hill being chopped up, super chopped up and rearranged. And it's angelic. It's beautiful. And we also get some sound effects here and there, and then we hit the second half where it has this really nice change of pace, and it becomes this spacey, moody, sad pianos and some vocals in the back. That feels like we're being launched into space, and we're just, you know, appreciating the beauty of the world. 90210, 90210, looking for the alley. Yeah. And the lyrics are also pretty personal as well. That's really special. The next track is Pray for Love. It features The Weeknd, and the singing is supposedly it's good because The Weeknd is a good singer. However, it's a little bit too drowned in sound effects, so I wish they could clear the sound effects a little bit, but still really ear-grabbing, catchy, attractive, and alluring. And so is the next track, Nightcrawler, featuring Sway Lee and Chief Keef. Really catchy, hustly, bustly, and also really artsy and futuristic as well. I also really like the beat, how motory, mechanical, and whooshy it is. And the next track is Piss on Your Grave, featuring Kanye West out of all the rappers, and it has a pretty weird psychedelic rock intro, but the rest of the track, it's a change of pace and energy. It's drier, rawer, and punchier. And Kanye West goes really hard and over the top on this track, and it's actually pretty good. And I actually love the instrumentals, not that they're complex or catchy or anything, but it sounds like an evil robot assembling all its pieces, except it's a cartoon. It's a stop motion cartoon. That's what the instrumentals feel like. So it's a pretty special track, and I actually enjoyed it a lot. The next track, Antidote, while the vocal melodies are a little redundant and repetitive, but it's still amazing. It's a smash hit song, and it's intoxicating and woozy, yet at the same time, it hits hard. The next track, Impossible, is almost like the previous track, Antidote, but it's a little groovier, a little dreamier. I also really like the lyrical topics. It's sort of like Travis Scott's internal monologue talking about his dreams. I also love how spacey and trippy the song sounds. And the next track is Maria, I'm Drunk, and it's even spacier and trippier. It features Young Thug and Justin Bieber, and they're actually pretty good on this track. Yeah, also really catchy. I love the dreary pianos, the ascending bass. They're all perfect together on this track. Amazing. And also Flying High featuring Toro y Moi. Absolutely beautiful track. It's so creative and vivid and colorful and bright. I actually really love the sunny hook that's so innocent but also lonely at the same time. And it sounds so psychedelic and futuristic, and it's such a lovely track. The vocals are fantastic. The penultimate track is I Can Tell, and it sounds absolutely evil, haunting, and chilling, and also pretty aggressive. Travis Scott on this track, and I love how clocky the beat is. And the album ends off with Apple Pie, which is also really good, which is sort of a warm goodbye for the album. And it's a very sticky track, very memorable. I love the beautiful pianos, and how Travis Scott talks about his mother is actually pretty touching. So, yeah, I actually love this album a lot. It's an 8 out of 10, and my favorite track here is 90210. Least favorite is Pornography. Up next, we're gonna talk about Baroness, purple. Ah! So, Baroness, they are a stoner metal, pop metal band from the USA. You know what I'm talking about. They just released their latest album, Golden Grey, and it's, I'm gonna talk about them soon. But for now, let's talk about Purple, because it's one of my favorite metal albums of the decade. It's so damn good. Their songs are just so catchy. If you're not a metalhead, but you want to listen to metal, this is the go-to album. It has catchy songs, amazing instrumentals, great crisp production, and it's visceral and loud, and you'll actually enjoy it. The album starts off with Morningstar, the lightning strike drums, the super electrified guitars. They are fantastic. We get some devilish riffs, and then the choruses, the verses, they are intergalactic. They are epic. The vocals, they are soaring really, really high, unapologetic. And overall, it's such a catchy track. It's such a feel-good track, and so intergalactic, you know? The second track is Shock Me, and it's just one of my favorite songs of the decade. Period. It's insanely good. In a battle, you only brought your shield. I picked the nearest blade I found. I'm sure that I've told my fair share of lies. Okay, I have to stop because I'm gonna sing the entire song. Damn, this song, oh, it's so epic, so the guitar riffs, they're so gritty, the drums, they're so muscular and strong and thunderous, and overall the song is so tense, so loud, but yet so catchy, so righteous, powerful, triumphant. Whew. And then the next track, Try to Disappear, is similar to Shock Me, maybe a little sadder and has some slower moments, but still, the synths, they're fantastic. They are kind of sad, but also really powerful. The choruses are extremely catchy, and the guitar solo, fantastic. You try to disappear. Kerosene is also really catchy and chilly, intense, and epic. And it feels like you're on the edge of a cliff while listening to the song. I love how wibbly the guitars get, and the ending is absolutely climactic. The next track is Fugue, and it's an interlude, but it's just so fucking good. Just so good. It's really somber and moody, really spacey as well, but then we get some exotic and crispy guitars that are so sweet and dreamy. It's just such a great interlude. And then it transitions to Chlorine and Wine, which is also like the first four tracks, but slower, more rational. It has some heavy and thunderous guitar riffs and some really painful and broken up vocals. We also get some marchy drums, and the duet is pretty beautiful. The next track, Iron Bell, The Iron Bell, is my least favorite probably because it sounds kind of average. It's not so versatile. The chorus is a little bit weird because it sounds like the band can't decide on a specific chord, but still the track is incredibly visceral, just not that great. The next track, Desperation Burns, is I think better. Chillier, colder, and more deep and foreboding. The bass is thicker. Still not one of the brightest tracks, but it's still really good. Same for the last track, If I Have to Wake Up, Would You Stop the Rain? Powerfully sad album finisher. I also like the swingy, skippy drums. Even though it has its dry moments, I still like the album finisher. Also, it actually ends off with a 17-second long weird sound snippet called Crossroads of Infinity. But still, overall, I love the album. 8 out of 10 as well. Strong 8. I'd say my favorite track is Shock Me, and least favorite is The Iron Bell. The third album that I'm going to be talking about is High on Fire with Luminiferous. Stoner metal, sludge metal band High on Fire, they're back. And, you know, they sound really good. They sound really good on every album. They got some really sludgy and muscular guitar riffs, a fat guitar bass, and also the gargly vocals. They're pretty iconic for the band as well. So yeah, another really solid metal album, not much to talk about. The album opener, The Black Plot, is an absolute barn burner that's also kind of melodic at the same time. The guitar riffs, they're muscular as always. The second track, Carcosa, may not be that great. Feels kind of average and long, and the hook is a little awkward. And it's over 7 minutes long, but still, the rest of the album is pretty great. The Sunless Years, actually really wild and savage, and the drums are really skippy, so it's actually kind of catchy in some way. Also, Slave, the Hive, super aggressive, goes really hard and fast, and it's just a really speedy thrash metal. I'm just not a huge fan of the fade out ending though. The next track, The Falconist, is really, how do I say it? It has some nice melodies, and I love how raw and in the moment the track feels. And the next track, The Dark Side of the Compass, feels like a pretty average track for High on Fire, but still sounds pretty great. The next track, The Cave, has an acoustic guitar intro that's really nice, and then after that, we get some really beautiful bass and some really amazing guitar riffs. And then we have the title track, which is also super aggressive, and it has some constant drum hits. And the album ends off with The Lethal Chamber, which is a really, really long-winded track, over 8 minutes, but still sounds pretty good. May not be one of the more hard-hitting and powerful tracks, or should I say monstrous tracks on the track list, but still, good album, 8 out of 10 as well. Favorite track is The Falconist. Least favorite is Carcosa. For the fourth album that I'm going to be talking about, it's a special one because it's Destroyer with Poison Season. Destroyer, he is actually Dan Behar, and he's a singer-songwriter. He is well known for his really poetic lyrics and his really nasal voice. Not really nasal, but just weird, crackly voice. Yeah, kind of nasal, actually. So, yeah, singer-songwriter album, meaning that it can be kind of rock-ish, kind of pop-ish, kind of folk-ish, maybe, all fused into one. We have Times Square, Poison Season 1 as the album opener. It's really sad and quiet. We also get some strings that's really beautiful, and the lyrics, they are incredibly poetic. How you can fall in love in Times Square. I can't do the voice. But yeah, it's a pretty fantastic track. Actually, we have 3 tracks on the entire album titled Times Square. Anyway, we have Dream Lover as the second track, which is a really hard-hitting and bright track. The saxophones, the pianos, the drums, they just go super wild. And the track almost has a Bruce Springsteen vibe, almost. And also some wild horns, which are amazing. And again, really bright and optimistic and uplifting. The next track, Forces from Above, is a really nice track. I really love it. I love how scattery the drums are and how in the moment they are. And the vocals, they're very whispery. The track sounds like you're doing something secretly, and that thing is not necessarily good. But yeah, I love the really bright climax of the song. It's a really nice song. And the next track, Hell, actually has some really fine baroque strings and some really attractive ascending chords. And overall, it's such a lovely and honest track. Dan Behar's personality really shines through on this track and also on the rest of the album, because he just has so much swag, so much charisma. The next track, The River, is a really luscious and swag track with some really laid-back flute, I think. And it's really, actually, life. It sounds like life. Yeah, it's a life track. Girl in a Sling, while it's not one of the catchier and brighter moments of the album, it's actually really quiet and alluring, and it almost sounds kind of heartbreaking. Even though the track is not great, I don't love the track all that much, it's still a really special track, and again, the lyrics, they're really poetic. The next track is Times Square. It's the centerpiece of the entire album. It shines the brightest, screams the loudest, and it's just a really beautiful and memorable track about Times Square. And again, the lyrics, absolutely poetic. Maybe some surreal images here and there, which, you know, doesn't really connect to the central theme of the track, but still, overall, really great track. Archer on the Beach is also one of my favorites on the album because it has such a slick but also mystic bass. I also really love the nocturnal grooves of the track and some echoey reverb guitars, some jazzy pianos, and overall, again, Dan sort of whispers a little bit, so it makes the track a little sensual and also kind of mysterious. The next track, Midnight Meets the Rain, also has some scattery drums like Forces from Above, except we also get some saxophones on the track, which gives more swag to the track. Up next, we have Soulless's Bride, which is meh. Feels a little redundant, and it's not one of the more memorable moments on the album. However, the next 3 tracks, they're pretty good. Bangkok has a really nocturnal midnight feel to the track, which I really love, and it's overall a really beautiful and serene track. The build-up is great, and the next track, Sun in the Sky, is also really sensual, and also some nice hand drums. And then the album just ends off with Times Square, Poison Season 2, which is basically the first track, except a little louder and more conclusive. And love the drums on the track as well. So yeah, overall, it's a pretty versatile singer-songwriter album that has its highs and its lows, and I'm feeling an 8 out of 10 on this album as well. My favorite track is Times Square, and my least favorite is Soulless's Bride. And of course, I can't end off the video without talking about a bad album. So, Anthony Fantano famously gave Instant Gratification from the band Dance Gavin Dance a 1 out of 10, the first 1 out of 10, which is the lowest score by the time the video is released. So I listened to the album. Truth be told, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as some people make it out to be. But still, I'm not saying it's good. It's still kind of bad. Yeah, still kind of bad. So Dance Gavin Dance is a post-hardcore math rock band. And on this album, they have some hardcore screamo vocals, but also at the very same time, some really sugary, soft vocals soaring in the sky very lightly. And it's just so awkward. Like, when these two vocals come together, especially on every single track here, it's actually really awkward sounding. And the lyrics, they are usually really dumb. However, the performances and the production, they are actually really tight, crisp, and clean. When they say math rock, it is math rock. Some really fast, super speed guitars, some clickety-clackety drums laced on top, and the whole thing just going really tense, but also sometimes a little dry at times. However, the way the band performs on this album may be a little inconsistent in the way that they sound really fast and aggressive sometimes, but then 2 seconds later they sound like they're being a little soft. The album opener is We Own the Night. The lyrics are already super dumb here, but still I forgive the lyrics because it's still a pretty catchy song. The next track, Stroke God Millionaire, is also pretty bright and catchy in my opinion. The guitars are really tense, however it kind of dwells between dry but also sort of a dense, so it's a little inconsistent, but still I like the track a little bit. The next track, Something New, is actually pretty obnoxious because it has both the screamo vocals and the sugary soft pop vocals on top of one another at the same time, like 2 layers. And the next track, On the Run, is basically an average generic alt rock track, except with a math rock post-hardcore screamo vibe. The track Shark Dad, it actually has a really nice and almost pretty opening. However, when the chorus comes up, it's just weird because it sounds like the band is constantly switching from one guitar chord to another, and they can't settle on one. The next track is Awkward, and it's actually one of my favorites on the album. It has some nice guitar riffs, but again, all the guitars, they're just drowned in reverb. And then we have Ego versus Crows, which would have been good if it weren't for the very stupid and irritating Linkin Park-esque rap verse talking about how they love self-destructive girls because the fucks are missing. Where are they? And I forgot to talk about the Cuddler, which sounds like a Katy Perry song, except it's metal. Sounds absolutely dumb and out of place. The next track is a Legend, I think, and it's a little ballad-esque pop track. And, what the hell? Oh, right. I got the track list order wrong. But who cares? We have the track, Death of a Strawberry. Really? That's the title of the track. And, the only thing that I want to say about this track is that one of the lyrics is literally, "Call me sugar daddy." And then we have Variation, which is pretty sharp and energetic. Not that bad. And the album ends off with Lost, which is also not that bad, I guess, because it's easily the most intense and aggressive song on the entire album. However, still not a huge fan of the vocals. So, yeah, I'm feeling 4 to a 3 out of 10 for the album. Maybe the score will change, because, I don't know. It's like, it may grow on me, maybe, but maybe not. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on these albums from 1 to 10? How much would you rate them? Like if you liked them, hate if you hate them, and subscribe if you want more. Thanks for watching. It's 8:30. I need to go eat dinner. Bye. And my shoulder hurts. Ow.